You know, Vanderbilt gives all of its students an opportunity to kind of find their niche, and I think I really found mine here.
There's a quote, "Someone who stops being a student was never a student at all, and kids from Vanderbilt will always be students."
In this sea of young minds, there is one student whose journey to graduation day took many turns and 40 years. Meet Taylor Stokes, the first African-American football player to be offered a Vanderbilt scholarship. The year, 1969.
It was a dream come true. Felt a great sense of accomplishment and a great deal of pride, not only for myself, but again for my family.
The Clarksville, Tennessee high school star had offers from Alabama and other schools, but the Vanderbilt decision was a family affair, led by Taylor's father, a successful building contractor and pioneer in his own right.
He used to tell me stories how he would be the only black that would walk into a bid room in the procurement office, and they'd ask, well, you know, where's your boss? And he would say, I am the boss, you know. And so my father always implanted in me a spirit of sort of like the Barack Obama of the 50s, that yes, you can. If you're ready and qualified and able to step up to the plate, then the conditions really won't make any difference.
But the conditions in 1969 were difficult at best. 1 year earlier, Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated. A few months later, Bobby Kennedy was killed.
Their assassinations rocked the world in a sense, and the social tenor of our country was certainly different at that time.
With the civil rights movement leading to the integration of once all-white institutions, Taylor Stokes joined a handful of other African-American students at Vanderbilt.
At times it could be cold. At times it could be very aloof and could be disconcerting. It could be detached. It could be almost like you're here, but you know, only because not necessarily that we want you here per se, but okay, so you're here.
On the football field, Taylor became the Commodore kicker. He never broke into the starting lineup as wide receiver, his position in high school.
Coming from a system where, you know, you got rewarded for your efforts, you know, if you were the best and you got rewarded for that, and then coming to a system where it seemed that politics played more than anything else, you know, and that kind of, I couldn't adjust to that very well. I couldn't understand, you know, why, you know, if I'm faster, stronger, better, quicker, why am I not playing?
There is silent racism and then overt acts. One such incident took place at the Mississippi State football game in Starkville.
And I had racial slurs. I mean, I was called the N-word, you know. People would threaten to come out of the stands and take me to a tree, lynch me, and, you know, I was called all different sorts of things, and, you know, and had stuff hurled at me, you know, and there's this angry, you know, racist epithets and angry feeling hurled towards me simply because of the color of my skin.
Of course, I told him, just forget it, don't worry about it, you know, put it out of your mind, and go on, because, you know, you can overcome this. And he did.
Vanderbilt co-captain John Carney and Taylor have been close friends since their playing days at Clarksville High.
And I think we took care of our own, and Taylor was one of our own, and he definitely was with me. And I wanted to see him do really well.
But Carney's longtime friendship was not enough.
I just didn't, I was really in a state of depression. I didn't want to be bothered. I didn't even want to go get my, you know, varsity letter. I didn't want to go participate in the banquet. I just didn't want to be bothered. I didn't want to be bothered.
Taylor did not go to that banquet. There were thoughts of suicide. He had already lost his younger brother, who died on his birthday. Another brother would commit suicide, and the third would die from illness, all before the age of 25.
A lot of internal guilt and shame. You know, that just, you know, even though I'd had one of the most successful seasons that I'd had here at Vanderbilt, personally, I was a wreck. Emotionally, spiritually, I was a wreck. You know, I was at a very, very, very low point, you know, in my life.
What started as his father's vision ended in 1972. Taylor left Vanderbilt.
They broke my spirit, right. That's exactly what happened, yeah. And I allowed them to break my spirit. I felt like a loser. Yeah, I felt like I was in a world all by myself.
For the next 30 years, he avoided West End Avenue and Vanderbilt.
I couldn't even think in terms of coming by this place. The word Vanderbilt just, you know, would bring up these eerie, dark, dank feelings within me. You know, and I began to, I think probably one of the biggest things that really hurt me was the fact that I had lost my passion for life.
But all that changed in 2007. Taylor walked onto Vanderbilt's campus as a student once again, but not before running a successful contracting business, 10 years of therapy, a battle with cancer, a divorce, and finally, a marriage to an old Clarksville friend. Her name, Chandra.
She's the one that rebirthed Vanderbilt in me. She began to say, Taylor, you know, I hear you saying a lot of things about how you want to accomplish this and you want to accomplish that.
He had a problem, as you know, you stated, about coming back to Vanderbilt and had a lot of bitterness. But anything that, you know, you have to finish well. That's what I wanted.
Until you finish that place, until you finish Vanderbilt, nothing else is really going to ever work out well for you, because you're not going to be able to look back over your life and say that you finished. And what you need to do at your age now, what you need to understand is that you need to finish well.
We'll start with that. It's a good first question, though. Get the racial demographic of the school.
Taylor's journey back to the classroom reignited his passions for learning. Who better to take part in a history discussion on white flight and integration than Vanderbilt's first African-American football scholarship player?
You know, what numbers constitute integration? I mean, is integration, you know, is it real or is it perceived?
But decide in his 50s he's going to come back and complete an undergraduate degree at a site of failure with a lot riding on it. It's pretty impressive.
Associate Provost Lucius Outlaw called Taylor with the news. He could come back to Vanderbilt to earn his arts and science degree. His major, race, culture, and religion.
I was sitting at my desk in my office, and I was speechless on the telephone when Lou was talking to me, and I just began to weep. I just began to cry. And
Why?
Because hope had been reborn. I could feel my passion coming back.
The bad experiences of a football era long gone grows even more distant during one of Vanderbilt's biggest triumphs, a Music City Bowl victory. It's only fitting that former number 86 is on hand to see Vandy's first postseason win in 56 years.
When I looked out on that field and saw all those African-American kids out there, I knew that there might be many now, but they emanated from the one.
It's always wanting somebody to make a step to give someone else a step, because, I mean, he paved the way for us, for a lot of guys.
Vanderbilt football player Richard Langford is honored to call Taylor a mentor and friend. That friendship and a phone call from football coach Bobby Johnson led to Stokes finally getting his letter jacket.
I mean, even though we were losers when I was here, now we're becoming winners, you know, and God has allowed me to be a part of that, to see them transition from victim to victor.
40 years after entering Vanderbilt, Taylor Stokes makes his own transition from victim to victor. His wife, friends, stepdad, and mother are witnesses to the rebirth of a dream that emanated from his late father.
Dad, I made it. I made it. And thank you for seeing things that I couldn't see.
Christopher Taylor Stokes.
Hi. Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chancellor. Thank you for the vision that you had for my life when I had no clue.
That was just joy. I was full of joy. I'm so glad for him, and I just thank the Lord that he has blessed him to come this far and to get his diploma.
And how could you not be excited and joyful, you know, and have praise for what God is doing. How could you not, you know?
We made it.
Yeah.
I know Daddy's happy.
I know he know all about it.
Yeah, I know he's happy.
I know he is too, son. I know I am.
I couldn't have done it without you. It has Bachelor of Arts, Christopher Taylor Stokes, conferred by Vanderbilt University.